am Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Wealth Boot Camp, and I wanted to share something that happened today. I had a little conversation with somebody, and she was asking me. She said we were talking about the frustrations of being black in America, kind of dealing with racism, having to fight people all the time, stuff like that. And she said, "Do you think that black people will be better off if if lots of us, millions of us, just went back to Africa?" And I thought about it, and I said, well, there's nothing wrong with going to Africa. I've been to Africa a couple times, a few times, and I'm going back, and I'm going back for extended periods of time. So when I tell you that I'm broadcasting to you from Africa, you will be hearing that sentence coming out of my mouth within the next 6 to 9 months. So I think that going to Africa is great. I think every black person should go at some point if you can. In fact, we're going to put together a trip to Africa with Your Black World within the next year. I'll let you know when it's done. We've been looking forever to find a travel company we could partner with in a way that made sense. And finally, the team found somebody that they like, and we're moving forward with the negotiations and conversation and all that stuff. Now, my thought about going to Africa, or all of us being in Africa, is first, yes, we should all visit. I think that but then in terms of living there, some people would want to do it, some people may not. What I would say is that even if you don't go live in Africa or even go visit Africa, I think that what you want to avoid is believing that America is all that you deserve, all that you can get, that it's the best that's out there. That this is just the greatest country in the world and the only place you could be. That's where you fall into a trap, because we have a lot of African Americans who believe that America is the be all end all. They are fed a lie in early in school that the founders and the creators of the Constitution were the most brilliant people ever, that they created the most perfect government, and that's absolute nonsense. I was gonna say bullshit, but I'm trying not to cuss because I know that's just there's better words for me to use. I know that, but it's nonsense. I mean, if this government was so perfect, then it wouldn't be as dysfunctional as it is right now. When over a third of the people who create the government were slaveholders who were protecting their interests, by making black people 3/5 of a person, all this other craziness. You can't say that these were brilliant people, that they created the greatest country in the world. No, they created a country that has its strengths and its weaknesses. That's what they created. It's one of a gazillion countries that you can live in a lot of places you could visit. Because here's the thing. Here's how an abusive relationship works. One way that an abusive relationship works, similar to the relationship that black people have with white America, is you convince the person you're abusing that they have nowhere else to go, that they have no other options, that if I don't want you, nobody will, that you're not going to do any better than me. And so what happens is they end up becoming more deeply committed to the source of their very oppression. And so what white America does to black people, not all white people, I'm talking about the system. When I say white America, I'm talking about a system. So if you're white and you're watching this, don't think I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the system that you probably support. But also, if you're black and I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the system about the system you probably support too. You don't even know that you support it. But this system, what happens is black people are we have our self-esteem kind of beaten down, and we're fooled into believing that America is our only option. That Africa don't want us, that Africa is no good place to be, that you should have no connection, no root to Africa, and that's a great way to oppress people, because what they've done to us is they erased our history, where many of us don't know anything about who we were before we were slaves, and all we have to hold on to is what exists in America. That's why you have black people, when they define black achievement, they will define it in terms of things like so and so was the first black person to graduate from Harvard, or so and so was the first black doctor in America, or so and so was the first black person to be allowed to use the public library. Just things like that. Sort of the first black. And what's happened, the way that that leads to a natural imbalance for black and white people is white people are already here, right? And what they're saying to you is that black progress means that you're rising up. You're chasing after this elusive thing called equality to whites, by comparing yourself to whites, by having access to the things that whites have, being a part of the institutions that whites created, receiving acceptance from whites. And that's a problem because what happens then is you've allowed you've allowed your oppressor to create a ceiling for your success. They know that as long as they never fully accept you, you will never have true equality because that's what you've been led to believe. So what I say is that we don't aim for equality. We aim for other forms of achievement, new measuring sticks that will allow us to feel accomplished, even if we don't have the permission from a white person to consider that to be an accomplishment. And that's why you'll see me. I'm very, very. Don't get me wrong. I will partner with white people periodically as long as there's respect, right? I will work with white organizations, white businesses. I'll, if it's ethical, my company will take white people's money if it makes sense. So, because there's a difference between a healthy partnership and a partnership that is built on subjugation, and so interacting with whites, I'm not, I think that's fine. I don't think separatism has to occur, but I think that kind of getting away from these very rigged measuring sticks of black success is absolutely essential. Even in my own career, I had to become a little bit anti-establishment because I had to walk away and say, you know what, I don't need these white institutions to accept me in order for me to feel successful. So even I myself had to overcome certain kinds of brainwashing that's really fed to us at a very early age. So that's why I don't really get impressed when someone tells me they got an important job with a big white institution. It doesn't mean I don't think it's worthy. It doesn't mean I don't think that they didn't work hard for that. But what it says to me is, it says, I say, well, congratulations. And really, I'm thinking, congratulations, you got white people to like you enough to give you a certain kind of position. But I'm just as proud, or probably more proud, of that black father who comes to me, or that black mother who says, I built my own business and I use my own money, my own bare hands, my own blood, sweat, and tears. This is mine. I'm actually more excited about that because I'm thinking you're planting a seed. You've created something that you can give to your children. You created something that's yours. You have real power. It's not much, but you have real power. Whereas some of us live off of borrowed power. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm not a big fan of living off of borrowed power because the person you're borrowing it from, as soon as they yank the rug out from under you, you have nothing. So the question I think here's a good question that every black person in America can ask themselves to know if they're even remotely close to possibly being free. Ask yourself this: what if white people stopped fooling with me? What if white America? What if white society stopped? Didn't give me an employment anymore. I was blackballed from my industry. I couldn't go to them to get a job or to get money, things like that. And we're talking strictly pretty much economically. I mean, we know there are other systems as well. There's education, there's prison, etc. I think that we can educate our own kids. I'm a big fan of educating your own children. At the very least, if you send them to school every day, they should be going to school to learn systems, to learn how America thinks. But then when they come home, they're learning how to operate within those systems as a black person in this society. And I think that's probably the most important part of their education because you have to have them. It's almost like being an undercover cop. You can't be so deep undercover that you become like the people that you're hanging around, right? And that happens, right? Where undercover cops assume the identities of drug dealers because they're so immersed in the culture. You always have to remember who you are. So you pull them out. You say, okay, you went undercover. You're learning the system. You're learning how things work. Now let me tell you about being a black man and how you can eventually overcome this system and determine your own strength in life. So I think asking yourself, what would happen if white people just abandoned me? I think the answer to that question tells you how dependent you are on other people to get the things that you need. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily make any immediate adjustments, but if you are under significant threat, like for example, if one white man could sign a document that destroys your whole life, by getting, firing you from your job or whatever, you may want to make some adjustments, right? Now, of course, again, we have the criminal justice system, which is a whole nother animal within itself, where a whole lot of white men can sign a whole lot of documents that could mess everything up for everybody. But at least with the economic system, there is more range to establish more freedom. And so I think that in terms of answering that initial question, should black people go back to Africa? The answer is yes and no, in the sense that yes, we should go back to Africa to visit if we can. It doesn't cost much. You can save up the money. Maybe you can go for a couple $1,000s or something like that, and you can save that up. Just set up a savings plan, give yourself a year, put aside $150 a month, something like that. $150, that's the cost of taking a family to the movies and dinner, right? You go to movies and dinner with two kids and as a spouse, you're going to spend $150. So save that up, make a trip, and then the answer would be no or maybe, in the sense that I don't know if you have to live there, but I think just knowing that you always have options, that's what's critical. We all want to think globally. Don't think domestically. Think globally. You're a citizen of the world. You can go to Asia. You can go to Australia. You can go to Europe. You can go to Africa. You can go to South America. You can go all these other places to get away from some of this. And that's what I do now. Is as I've evolved. When I get sick of stupidity, I try to get on a plane and go somewhere. And it's literally a breath of fresh air. I mean, just thinking about it, you heard me sigh. I sighed because I felt a sense of relief. Knowing that when the pressure gets too heavy, I can find a way to escape that. And so that's just my thought on that. I encourage you to, look around the world and see what's going on in the world, and don't think that America is everything. The world is bigger than your country. The world is certainly bigger than your hood. So look bigger than that, and you don't have to go any further than the internet. If you have a phone, if you have a cell phone, you can get on your cell phone and you can look around and see all the different things happening around the globe, and so that way you know that your life and your situation is bigger. It's bigger than the here and now, in terms of where you are and what time period you're in. So just keep that in mind. All right, well, that's all I really want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Wealth Boot Camp. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.